In part 3, the past exploded. Lena discovered she'd been hunted long before she met Jae-hyun. Her family, her blood, her aunt's lies, and a voice on the phone calling her little sister, a voice she recognized but couldn't place. Just as she was about to reveal the name, a red laser dot appeared on her forehead. Jae-hyun lunged. A gunshot screamed through the night, and everything went black. Now this is part 4, the moment truth collides with survival. The moment Lena learns who she really is. The moment the Guardians step out of the shadows. And the moment someone from her past comes to take her home. New here? Stop. Go back. Watch parts 1, 2, and 3 first. Because what happens next will only make sense if you know how deep this goes. This is where everything changes. Sound returned first. Not all at once, but in fragments. A high-pitched ringing that drowned out everything else, then muffled voices shouting, then the sharp crack of boots on wood, then someone screaming her name over and over like a prayer torn from bleeding lungs. Lena! Lena, stay with me! Lena! The voice was familiar, desperate. Broken in a way that made her chest hurt even though she couldn't remember why. She tried to open her eyes, but her eyelids were made of lead. Tried to move, but her body refused to obey. Everything felt distant, wrapped in cotton, like she was underwater, and the world above was happening to someone else. Then sensation flooded back all at once. Pain. Not hers. She realized that slowly, but the weight of someone else's body pressing down on her, shielding her, trembling against her. Warmth spreading across her shoulder, wet and sticky. The smell of gunpowder and copper. Wood splinters raining down like deadly snow. Medical kit, now. Sung-ho, secure the perimeter. I don't care if you have to burn the entire forest. Find that sniper! Jae-hyun's voice. Close. So close his breath was hot against her ear. But something was wrong with it. Ragged, strained, threaded with pain he was trying and failing to hide. Lena forced her eyes open. The world swam into focus in pieces. The ceiling of the hanok, now punctured with a bullet hole where pale moonlight streamed through. Dust motes dancing in the beam. Shadows moving frantically at the edges of her vision. Jae-hyun's men, weapons drawn, faces tight with fear. And Jae-hyun. He was on top of her, his body covering hers completely, one arm cradling her head while the other was pressed against the floor, supporting his weight. His face hovered inches from hers, and in the moonlight she could see every detail with painful clarity. The wild terror in his eyes, the blood on his face, not his, she thought distantly. The way his jaw was clenched so hard she could see the muscle jumping beneath his skin. Lena? His voice cracked on her name. Look at me. Can you hear me? Are you hurt? She tried to speak, but her throat was dry, her tongue thick and useless. She managed a small shake of her head. Relief crashed across his features, so profound it was almost painful to witness. Thank God. Thank God. His forehead dropped to hers for just a second, his eyes squeezing shut, and she felt him trembling. Actually trembling. The Ghost King, the man who moved through violence like it was breathing, was shaking like a leaf in a storm. Sir. Sung-ho appeared at Jae-hyun's side, medical kit in hand, his face pale. You need to let me. I'm fine, Jae-hyun snapped, not moving. Sir, you're bleeding. I said I'm fine. The words came out harsh, final, brooking no argument. But Lena felt it. The way his arm was pressed tight against his body, the way he shifted his weight carefully, the dark stain spreading across his shoulder that he was trying to hide. Her mind cleared in an instant, sharp and cold. You're hurt, she breathed, her hands coming up to his chest, pushing slightly. Jae-hyun, It's nothing. He finally moved, sitting back on his heels, and she saw it properly. The blood soaking through his black shirt, the way his left arm hung just slightly wrong, the careful way he breathed. Just a graze. That's not a graze, Sung-ho said flatly. That's a through and through. You need. What I need, Jae-hyun interrupted, his eyes never leaving Lena's face, is for someone to tell me how a sniper got within 300 meters of this location. I need to know how they breached a perimeter I personally designed. I need... He stopped, swaying slightly, and Lena saw the exact moment the adrenaline started to wear off. The exact moment the pain caught up with him. Jae-hyun. He collapsed. Not dramatically. Not all at once. Just a slow, careful fold, like someone had cut his strings, and suddenly Sung-ho was there, catching him, lowering him to the floor while shouting orders Lena couldn't process. She scrambled to his side, her hands shaking, her mind screaming at her to do something, anything, but she didn't know what. There was so much blood, too much blood. It was on the floor, on his clothes, on her hands where she touched his chest, and move. The word came out sharper than she intended, but Sung-ho obeyed immediately, stepping back to give her space. Get me the medical kit. And water. Clean water. Now. Her hands knew what to do even if her mind was spinning. Years of helping at a medical clinic in Lagos when she was younger, years of her aunt teaching her to be prepared for anything, years of survival instinct kicked in and steadied her trembling fingers. She tore open Jae-hyun's shirt, or what was left of it, and bit back a curse. The bullet had entered through his left shoulder, high enough that it missed anything vital but close enough to the joint that the damage was significant. The exit wound on his back was worse, ragged and bleeding freely, and she knew without medical supplies beyond a basic kit, this was going to be bad. Stay with me, she whispered, her hands pressing cloth against the wounds, applying pressure. Don't you dare leave me now. Not after everything. Not after. Her voice broke. Jae-hyun's eyes fluttered open, unfocused and dark with pain, but still somehow finding hers. Lena, his voice was rough, barely audible. You're okay? I'm fine. You saved me. You took the bullet. Tears were streaming down her face now, hot and unstoppable. You threw yourself in front of me, you idiot. Why would you do that? A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Told you, I'd keep you safe. His hand came up, shaking, and touched her cheek. Worth it. Don't talk. Save your strength. Have to tell you, he coughed, wincing. The sniper, Guardian class, they don't miss. If they wanted you dead, you'd be dead. This was, another wince, a message. Lena's blood ran cold. What kind of message? They want you alive, want you, captured, not killed. His eyes were starting to glaze, the shock setting in. Lena, you need to run, need to get away from me. I'm what's keeping you trapped here. If you run, maybe. Shut up. The words came out fierce, final. I'm not going anywhere, and neither are you. You're going to let me fix this, and then you're going to tell me everything you know about the Guardians, and we're going to figure out who wants me and why. Together. Do you understand? He stared at her for a long moment, something complicated and painful moving behind his eyes. Then, so quietly she almost missed it, together. Sung-ho returned with supplies, and Lena got to work. The next hour passed in a blur of blood and pain and whispered curses. They moved Jae-hyun to one of the interior rooms, a small space with minimal furniture and no windows, the safest location in the Hanok. His men secured every entrance, set up motion sensors, and established a new perimeter that, according to Sung-ho's grim expression, might buy them a few hours at best. Lena worked on Jae-hyun's shoulder with hands that gradually stopped shaking, her focus narrowing to the immediate task. Clean the wound, stop the bleeding, prevent infection, stabilize. She'd done this before, back in Lagos, back when medical supplies were scarce and people learned to make do. But this was different. This was Jae-hyun. This was the man who'd saved her life a dozen times over. This was, don't think, just work. You're good at this, Jae-hyun said through gritted teeth, his voice tight with pain despite the local anesthetic she'd managed to inject. Where did you learn? Lagos. There was a clinic near my aunt's house. I used to volunteer. Her hands moved steadily, cleaning debris from the wound. This was going to leave a scar, a bad one. The doctor there taught me the basics, said everyone should know how to save a life. Ironic. She glanced up at him. What is? You, saving my life, when I'm the one who's supposed to... He hissed as she pressed gauze against the exit wound. Damn. Hold still. Bossy. Someone has to be, since you apparently think throwing yourself in front of bullets is a reasonable life choice. Her voice came out sharper than intended, and she saw him wince, not from pain, but from something else. Guilt, maybe, or regret. They fell into silence, broken only by his occasional sharp intake of breath and the distant sounds of his men moving through the compound. Lena worked methodically, her mind deliberately blank, refusing to think about what could have happened, about how close she'd come to, I'm sorry. The words were so quiet she almost missed them. Her hands stilled. For what? For all of this, for dragging you into my world, for not being able to keep you safe the way I promised. Jae-hyun's eyes were fixed on the ceiling, carefully not looking at her. You should hate me. You should have run the first chance you got. Probably, Lena agreed, resuming her work. But I didn't. Why not? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with everything they weren't saying. Why hadn't she run? She'd had opportunities. Moments when she could have slipped away, disappeared into the city, found help. But she hadn't. And if she was honest with herself, she knew why. Because, she said slowly, tying off a bandage, somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing you as just the dangerous man who kidnapped me, and started seeing you as the person who was willing to die to protect me. Jaehyun's head turned, his eyes finally meeting hers, and the intensity in them stole her breath. Lena? Don't. She cut him off, her voice unsteady. Don't say whatever you're about to say. Not now. Not when we're both running on adrenaline and fear and... She stopped, shaking her head. Just don't. He studied her for a long moment, and she forced herself to hold his gaze even though everything in her wanted to look away. Finally, he nodded, just once. Okay, he said quietly. But when this is over, when you're safe, I'm gonna say it anyway. Her hands trembled as she secured the final bandage. When this is over, you might not want to. I will. The certainty in his voice made her chest tight. She busied herself with cleaning up the medical supplies, desperately needing something to do with her hands, some way to avoid the conversation that was hovering just out of reach. The bullet, she said, changing the subject with all the grace of a freight train. You said it was a message. What did you mean? Jaehyun's expression shifted, the vulnerability disappearing behind his professional mask. The Guardians don't miss. Ever. They're trained from childhood to be perfect shots. If that sniper wanted you dead, the bullet would have hit you in the center of your forehead, instant kill. But it didn't. Because you moved? No. He shook his head slightly, then winced at the movement. Because they adjusted. In the split second between pulling the trigger and the bullet leaving the chamber, they adjusted their aim. Shifted the trajectory just enough that my shoulder was in the path instead of your head. Lena's blood ran cold. They wanted to hit you? They wanted to send a message. We could have killed her. We chose not to. She belongs to us, not you. Jaehyun's jaw clenched. It's psychological warfare. They're showing us, showing me, that they're in control, that they can take you anytime they want, that keeping you close to me is pointless because they're better, faster, more precise. But they didn't take me. Not yet. His eyes were dark, haunted. But they will, unless we figure out who they're working for and what they want. And fast. A knock on the door interrupted them. Sung-ho entered without waiting for permission, his face grim. Sir, we've analyzed the bullet and the trajectory. You need to see this. They reconvened in the main room, Lena hovering close to Jaehyun despite his insistence that he was fine. He wasn't fine. She could see it in the way he moved carefully, the pale cast to his skin, the fine tremor in his hands that he was trying to hide. But he was also the Ghost King. And the Ghost King didn't show weakness, even when he was bleeding. Sung-ho had set up a laptop on the low table, the screen displaying trajectory analysis, ballistic reports, and thermal imaging from the moments before and after the attack. Around them, 3 other men stood guard, faces Lena was starting to recognize, though their names still escaped her. The sniper fired from here, Sung-ho said, pointing to a topographical map on the screen. Ridgeline. Approximately 400 meters northwest. Elevated position, clear sight line through the window. Wind conditions were poor, visibility moderate. It should have been an impossible shot. But it wasn't, Jaehyun said flatly. No, sir. It was perfect. Textbook Guardian-class execution. Sung-ho pulled up another image, a close-up of the bullet, now mangled from impact. Custom load, same signature as the bullet that killed Min-jun. Same maker. Same shooter, we believe. So the Guardian who protected me before, Lena said slowly, is the same one who just tried to kill Jaehyun. Tried to send a message, Jaehyun corrected. If they wanted me dead, I'd be dead. Comforting, she muttered. Sung-ho clicked to another screen. We found this at the sniper nest. He displayed a photograph of a calling card, identical to the one they'd found before. White, pristine, with elegant calligraphy. But this one had a different message. Time's running out, Ghost King. Give her back before we take her. Lena felt the blood drain from her face. Give me back? To who? That's what we need to figure out, Jaehyun said, his voice carefully controlled. Sung-ho, what do we know about Guardian activation protocols? They only activate for bloodline-level targets, Sung-ho said, his tone clinical. Royal families, political dynasties, underground nobility. The Guardians were created centuries ago to protect specific lineages, families with power, influence, and secrets worth killing for. When a Guardian accepts a contract, it's for life. They don't switch loyalties. They don't betray their principles. and they don't activate for random targets. I'm not royalty, Lena said, her voice coming out smaller than she intended. I'm nobody. My family is nobody. Your family in Lagos? Maybe, Jaehyun said quietly. But what about before Lagos? What about your parents, your real bloodline? Lena's throat closed, because that was the question she'd been avoiding since the phone call, since the voice that called her little sister, since every piece of evidence started pointing to a truth she didn't want to face. I don't know, she whispered. My parents died when I was 15. Car accident. My aunt raised me after that. She never talked about them much, said it was too painful, said I should focus on moving forward instead of dwelling on the past. Convenient, Sung-ho murmured. What's that supposed to mean? It means, Jaehyun said gently, that your aunt might have been protecting you, hiding you, keeping you away from something or someone who wanted you. But why? Why would anyone want me? That's what we need to find out. Jaehyun turned to Sung-ho. I want everything you can find on Lena's family. Parents, grandparents, anyone connected to the Okafor name. Cross-reference with Nigerian political families, business dynasties, and underground networks. If there's a connection to Korea, I want to know about it. Already started, sir. But there's a problem. Sung-ho's expression was grim. A lot of the records are sealed. Government-level encryption. The kind of protection that only gets applied to witness protection cases or classified intelligence assets. Lena felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. You're saying my family was in witness protection? Or something like it, Jaehyun said, which means someone very powerful wanted them hidden or dead. The words hung in the air, heavy and terrible. Lena wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly cold despite the warmth of the room. Everything she thought she knew about her life was unraveling, piece by piece, revealing something dark and incomprehensible underneath. There's something else, Sung-ho said hesitantly. The voice on the phone, the one calling her little sister. We ran voice analysis on the recording. Jaehyun's eyes sharpened. And? The distortion was professional grade, almost impossible to break through, but our tech managed to isolate certain phonetic markers, speech patterns, regional accent traces. He paused. The voice belongs to someone who grew up speaking both Igbo and Korean. Lena's heart stopped. That's impossible. Is it? Jaehyun's gaze was intense, searching. Think, Lena, is there anyone from your past who might have had connections to Korea? Anyone your aunt mentioned? Anyone your parents knew? She shook her head, her mind spinning. No, we were normal. My father worked in logistics. My mother was a teacher. We had a small house in Lagos. We were nothing special. Your aunt wasn't nothing special, Sung-ho said quietly. She's been traveling to Korea for years, meeting with high-level contacts, some of them connected to the council. Some of them connected to families we can't even identify because their information is that locked down. So what are you saying? Lena's voice was rising, panic edging in. That my aunt is part of some secret organization? That my whole life has been a lie? I'm saying, Jaehyun said, his voice steady and calm in contrast to her spiraling fear, that your aunt knew something, and she's been protecting you from it. The question is whether she's still protecting you, or whether she's part of whatever wants you back. The room fell silent except for the sound of Lena's ragged breathing. She felt like she was drowning, like every breath was too shallow, like the walls were closing in. I need air, she gasped. I need. D. Jaehyun was there instantly, his good hand on her shoulder, grounding her. Breathe. Just breathe. I've got you. You don't understand. If what you're saying is true, then everyone. Her voice broke. My whole life is a lie. No. His voice was fierce. Your life is yours. Whatever happened before, whatever your aunt did or didn't tell you, that doesn't change who you are. You're Lena. You're strong and brave, and you've survived things that would have broken anyone else. Whatever we find out about your past doesn't change that. She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face, and saw nothing but absolute certainty in his eyes. He believed what he was saying. Believed in her in a way no one ever had. How can you be so sure? She whispered. Because I know you. His thumb brushed away a tear. And I've seen what you're made of. The attack came at dawn. Not with bullets or explosions, but with silence. The kind of silence that made every nerve in Lena's body scream danger, even as she sat in the supposedly secure room watching Jaehyun's men work. Sung-ho was the first to notice. His head snapped up from his laptop, eyes narrowing. Sir, communications are down. Jae-hyun, who'd been reviewing files despite Lena's insistence that he rest, looked up sharply. Define down. Everything. Satellite phones, encrypted channels, even the backup systems, were completely dark. Sung-ho's fingers flew across the keyboard. This isn't equipment failure. This is active jamming. Military grade. Perimeter status? Motion sensors are. Sung-ho stopped, his face going pale. They're all triggered, every single one. But the cameras show nothing. That's impossible, one of the other men said. Unless... The lights went out. Emergency backup kicked in immediately, bathing the room in dim red light that made everything look like a crime scene. Jae-hyun was on his feet instantly, ignoring the way his shoulders screamed in protest, his good hand already on his weapon. Everyone armed, standard defensive formation. Sung-ho, get Lena to the safe room. I'm not going anywhere without you, Lena said, standing. Lena, no. Her voice was firm. If they wanted to kill us, we'd already be dead. This is something else, and I'm not hiding while you figure out what. Jae-hyun looked like he wanted to argue, but a sound from outside stopped him, a low, mechanical hum that raised every hair on Lena's arms. Drones, Sung-ho breathed. Multiple signatures. Thermal imaging capable. How many? At least 20. They're surrounding the compound. Jae-hyun's jaw clenched. Fall back to the interior room. Now. They moved as one unit, weapons drawn, every sense on high alert. The Hanok, which had felt like a sanctuary hours ago, now felt like a trap. Every shadow could hide a threat. Every sound could be a warning they were too late to heed. They'd barely reached the inner room when they found it. A small black device, no bigger than a phone, sitting on the table where they'd been working minutes before. Its screen glowed softly in the darkness, displaying a single line of text. Bring her to us, or more will die. Below the text, a video feed. Live footage of a building Lena recognized with a sickening jolt, the restaurant where she used to work, where her former co-workers were probably arriving for the morning shift, where innocent people were going about their lives, completely unaware that they were now leverage in a game they didn't know existed. No, Lena whispered. No, they can't. The screen changed. A countdown timer appeared. 2 hours. They're bluffing, Sung-ho said, but his voice lacked conviction. They're not. Jae-hyun's voice was cold, flat, the voice of the Ghost King. This is how the Guardians operate. They don't make empty threats. They give you a choice and they follow through, no matter what. Then we go, Lena said immediately. We give them what they want. Lena, stop. Jae-hyun caught her arm. You don't understand. If we give in to this, if we let them take you, we'll never get you back. Whatever they want you for, whatever they plan, once you're in their hands, you're gone. And if we don't, they'll kill innocent people. Her voice cracked. People I know, people I worked with. How can you ask me to just let them die? I'm not asking you to let them die. I'm asking you to trust me. His eyes burned into hers. Give me those 2 hours. Let me find another way. What other way? You said it yourself. The Guardians don't bluff. No, but they do have rules, protocols, and if I'm right about who's behind this, there might be a way to negotiate. You want to negotiate with terrorists? I want to keep you alive long enough to figure out who you really are and why they want you. Jae-hyun's grip on her arm tightened. 2 hours, Lena. That's all I'm asking. She stared at him, torn between the desperate need to save innocent lives and the terrifying certainty that if she walked out that door, she'd never see him again. Finally, she nodded. 2 hours. But if we can't find another way, we will. The device on the table beeped. New text appeared. The Ghost King protects his pet. How noble. But there's something you should know about pets, Kang Jae-hyun. They always belong to someone first. Below the text, an image loaded. It took Lena's eyes a moment to process what she was seeing. A photograph. Old, faded, like it had been taken decades ago. It showed a large house, no, a compound, with traditional Nigerian architecture mixed with something else. Something that didn't fit. In front of the house stood 2 families posed formally for the camera. On the left, a Nigerian couple with 2 children. On the right, a Korean couple with 1 child. And in the center, between the 2 families, 2 children holding hands. A boy and a girl, both no more than 5 or 6 years old. The girl had the same almond-shaped eyes as Lena, the same cheekbones, the same smile. The boy was Korean, with sharp features that would have been striking even in childhood. And across his eyebrow, a thin scar. Oh my God, Lena breathed. That's me. The device beeped again. More text. You don't remember, do you? They made sure of that. Made sure you'd forget him. Forget us. Forget who you were supposed to be. But we never forgot you, little sister. It's time to come home. The screen went black. Lena stood frozen, her mind reeling. That photograph. That boy. She had no memory of him, no memory of that house, no memory of anything before Lagos. Her earliest memories were of her aunt's apartment, of starting school, of her parents alive and happy and normal. But that photograph said different. That photograph said her life had started somewhere else, with someone else, with a brother she didn't remember. "Jaehyun," she whispered, "what does this mean?" But Jaehyun was staring at the blank screen with an expression she'd never seen before. Not fear, not anger. Something worse. Recognition. "You know something," she said. "You know what this means." He didn't answer immediately. When he finally spoke, his voice was careful, measured. "I need to make a call. There's someone who might have answers. But Lena." He turned to her, and the look in his eyes made her chest tight. "Whatever we find out, whatever the truth is, it doesn't change the fact that I will do everything in my power to keep you safe. Do you understand? I understand that you're hiding something from me. I'm not hiding. I'm confirming. There's a difference." He pulled out a satellite phone. Apparently he had backups even for the backups. "Sung-ho, keep trying to trace the signal. I want to know where that device came from and how it got past our security." "Sir." "Now." Sung-ho nodded and retreated with his team, leaving Lena and Jaehyun alone in the red-lit room with the silent device mocking them from the table. Jaehyun made his call. Lena couldn't hear what was said on the other end, but she watched his face grow progressively darker, his jaw tighter, his eyes harder. When he finally hung up, he looked like a man who just confirmed his worst nightmare. "Tell me," Lena said. "Whatever it is, just tell me." He was quiet for a long moment, choosing his words carefully. Finally, "What do you know about the Easy family?" The name meant nothing to her. "I've never heard of them." They're one of the most powerful underground dynasties in West Africa, controlling trade routes, political appointments, and criminal networks across 5 countries. They've been in power for generations, and they don't give up what's theirs. What does that have to do with me? Everything. Jaehyun's eyes met hers. Because 20 years ago, the Ezi family made an alliance with a Korean syndicate, a marriage alliance. The Ez patriarch's daughter was promised to the syndicate's heir. It was supposed to unite 2 empires, create an unstoppable network across continents. Lena's blood ran cold. What happened? The alliance fell apart. The daughter disappeared. Some said she ran away. Some said she was killed. But the Ezi family never stopped looking for her. He paused. Or for her children. The room tilted sideways. Lena grabbed the edge of the table to steady herself. "You're saying?" "I'm saying your mother might have been that daughter. And if she was, that makes you E's bloodline, which means you're not just some random girl who witnessed a murder. You're the missing heir to one of the most dangerous families in the world." "No." Lena shook her head violently. "No, that's impossible. My mother was a teacher. She was normal. She was protected," Jaehyun finished quietly. "Your aunt wasn't just raising you, Lena. She was hiding you from the Ezi family, from the Korean syndicate, from everyone who would want to use you as leverage or force you into the life your mother ran from." "But the boy in the photograph, your brother, your real brother, the son of the Korean syndicate heir your mother was supposed to marry. When the alliance fell apart, the families were torn apart too. You were taken to Lagos. He stayed in Korea." Jaehyun's voice was gentle now, seeing the devastation on her face. "He's been looking for you for 20 years, and now he's found you." Lena couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process any of this. Why doesn't he just come talk to me? Why all the threats and violence and... Because he's not the only one who wants you. The A family wants their heir back. The Korean syndicate wants to finish what was started 20 years ago. And the council. Jaehyun's jaw clenched. The council wants to use you as leverage against both families. You're not a person to them, Lena. You're a prize. A tool. A way to control 2 of the most powerful underground networks in the world. And you? Her voice came out broken, barely a whisper. What am I to you? The question hung between them, heavy and dangerous. Jaehyun stepped closer, his good hand coming up to cup her face, his thumb brushing away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. "You're the first person in years who made me want to be something other than the Ghost King," he said quietly. You're the only thing in this world I would die to protect, and you're the only reason I haven't burned everything to the ground to keep you safe. Lena's breath hitched. Jaehyun, I know I have no right to ask you to stay. I know I've done nothing but bring danger into your life. But I'm asking anyway. His forehead touched hers, his eyes closing. Don't go with them. Don't let them take you. Stay with me, and I swear I will find a way to end this. How? You just said everyone wants me. The Ez family, the syndicate, the council. Then I'll fight them all. His eyes opened, and the intensity in them stole her breath. I'll fight every last one of them if that's what it takes. The hours that followed were a blur of activity and growing dread. Sung-ho traced the device's signal to a location in Seoul, an abandoned factory that had once belonged to a company connected to the Korean syndicate. When Jaehyun's team arrived, they found it empty except for a single room in the basement, a room that changed everything. Lena stood in the doorway, unable to move, unable to breathe, staring at what could only be described as a shrine to her life. The walls were covered with photographs, hundreds of them. Lena as a child in Lagos, Lena as a teenager, Lena at university, Lena working at the restaurant, Lena walking to her apartment. Every moment of her life documented and displayed like artifacts in a museum. But it wasn't just surveillance. There were personal items too. A stuffed rabbit she'd lost when she was 8, a bracelet her mother had given her that had disappeared years ago, a school notebook with her childish handwriting, things she'd thought were lost forever, things someone had been collecting. Jesus, Sung-ho breathed behind her. This is obsession, Jaehyun finished grimly. He moved into the room, his weapon drawn, checking corners even though it was clear no one was here. Whoever set this up has been tracking her for years, probably her whole life. Lena forced herself to step inside. Her legs felt like rubber, but she made them move, made herself look at the evidence of her stolen privacy, her violated life. On the far wall, there was a timeline, her parents' deaths marked in red. Her move to Korea circled, her first day at the restaurant starred, and at the very end, in large letters, the night she saw. Below it, photographs of the murder, of her running, of Jaehyun finding her in the alley. They knew, Lena whispered. They knew I would be there that night. They knew I would see. It was staged, Jaehyun said, his voice hard. The murder, your presence, all of it. They wanted you to witness it, wanted you to be compromised, wanted an excuse to bring you into the underworld where they could reach you. But why? Why go through all this? Because taking you by force would have caused a war between families. But if you came into the underworld yourself, if you became entangled in council business, then whoever claimed you first could say they were protecting you from the consequences of your own actions. Jaehyun's fists clenched. It's elegant. Sick, but elegant. Lena moved deeper into the room, drawn by something she couldn't name. On a table in the center, there was a file. Thick, official-looking, with her name on the cover. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside, documents she'd never seen. Birth certificates, not the one from Lagos, but others, from Nigeria, from Korea. Documents that showed 2 births, 2 names, 2 identities. Okafor Chidima Lena, born in Lagos. Eze Adaeze Lena, born in Port Harcourt. The same person, 2 different lives. I don't understand, she breathed. How can I be 2 people? You're not. Jaehyun was reading over her shoulder. Your mother changed your identity after she ran, created new documents, a new history, made you into someone who didn't exist in any database the Eze family could access. But someone found out. Yes. Lena flipped through more pages. Medical records. DNA analyses. And at the very back, a photograph that made her heart stop. It was recent. Taken within the last few weeks. It showed her at a cafe in Seoul, sitting across from someone whose face had been deliberately blurred out. But she remembered that day. Remembered that meeting. That's my aunt, she whispered. I met her 6 weeks ago. She said she was in Seoul for business and wanted to see me. We had coffee. She asked me how I was, if I was happy, if I ever thought about coming home. What did you tell her? That I was happy. That Korea felt like home now. That I didn't plan on leaving. Lena's throat closed. She looked sad. I thought she was just missing me. But she wasn't, was she? She was saying goodbye. Jaehyun didn't answer, but his silence was confirmation enough. Lena's hands trembled as she turned to the last page in the file. It was a letter, handwritten in Igbo, dated 3 days before the murder. My dearest Lena, If you're reading this, then I have failed. Failed to keep you hidden. Failed to protect you from the life your mother died escaping. You need to know the truth. Your mother was Ezzy. Your father was Kim. Their union was supposed to bring peace, but it brought war instead. When your mother ran, she took you with her, left your brother behind because she couldn't save you both. He has been searching for you ever since. Driven by love, by duty, by the loss of a sister he barely knew. He is not your enemy, Lena, but the people who control him are. The Eze family wants you to complete your mother's legacy. Take her place. Unite the families the way she was supposed to. They will not accept no. They will not let you walk away. I tried to give you a different life, a normal life. I'm sorry I failed. Run, Lena. Run far and fast, and don't look back. Your aunt who loves you, Chioma. The letter fell from Lena's hands. She stood there, staring at nothing, feeling like the ground had been pulled out from under her. Everything she thought she knew was a lie. Her identity, her family, her entire life. And somewhere out there, a brother she didn't remember was coming to take her home to a family that would never let her go. Lena? Jaehyun's voice was gentle. We need to leave. If this location was meant to be found, it might be a trap. She nodded numbly, unable to form words. They were almost to the door when Sung-ho's voice crackled over the radio. Sir, we have movement. Multiple vehicles approaching from all directions. Heavy presence. They're boxing us in. Guardians? Yes, sir. At least 20 operatives, full tactical gear. They're not hiding anymore. Jaehyun cursed. Fall back to the vehicles. We're leaving now. But when they emerged from the factory, it was already too late. The Guardians had arrived. They stood in a perfect circle around the building, weapons trained but not raised, waiting, watching. Their faces hidden behind tactical masks, their bodies identical in their black uniforms, making them look less like people and more like extensions of the same deadly will. And in front of them, standing alone in the center of the circle, was a man. He was Korean, late 20s, with sharp features that would have been handsome if they weren't so cold. He wore expensive clothes tailored perfectly to his lean frame, and across his left eyebrow, a thin scar caught the morning light. The same scar from the photograph. Lena's breath stopped. The man's eyes locked onto hers, and something shifted in his expression. Something that might have been pain, or relief, or desperate bone-deep longing. Hello, little sister, he said quietly. His voice was the same one from the phone, but without distortion. She could hear the grief in it. The years of searching, the weight of everything lost. I've been looking for you for so long. Jaehyun stepped in front of Lena, his weapon drawn. If you want her, you'll have to go through me. The man, her brother, Lena's mind supplied helplessly smiled, but it was a sad, broken thing. Do you really think you can stop me, Ghost King? I have 20 guardians. You have 5 injured men. The math is simple. The math is irrelevant. I don't abandon what's mine. Yours? Her brother's voice hardened. She's not yours. She never was. She's Ezeblood. She's family. She's mine to protect, mine to bring home. She's not property, Jaehyun snarled. She's a person, and she gets to choose. Does she? Her brother's eyes flicked to Lena. Tell me, little sister, has the Ghost King told you what happens to women in his world? Has he explained that the council will use you, break you, and throw you away the moment you're no longer useful? Has he mentioned that his protection is temporary, but family is forever? Don't listen to him, Jaehyun said. He's manipulating you. I'm telling her the truth. Her brother took a step forward. Come home, Lena. Come meet the family that's been waiting for you. Learn who you really are. Claim your birthright. Or stay with him and watch everyone you care about die because he can't let you go. Lena stood frozen between them, her mind spinning. 2 men. 2 futures. 2 versions of who she might be. Behind her brother, the Guardians remained perfectly still, waiting for her decision. Beside her, Jaehyun was tense, ready to fight to the death if needed. And somewhere in the space between them, the timer was still counting down, still threatening innocent lives if she didn't choose. Her voice cracked. I need time. To think. There is no time, her brother said, not unkindly. The Eze family is gathering. The Korean syndicate is mobilizing. The council is moving against us all. In 24 hours, this becomes a war, and the only way to prevent that war is if you come home, if you take your place, if you unite what was broken. By marrying into the syndicate, Jaehyun said flatly, that's what this is really about. They want to finish the alliance your mother ran from. They want to use you the same way they tried to use her. Her brother's jaw clenched. It's not like that. Then what is it like? It's survival. For the first time, her brother's composure cracked, showing something raw and desperate underneath. Do you think I want this? Do you think I want to force my sister into a life she doesn't remember? But if she doesn't come home, if she doesn't fulfill the contract, then the families will tear each other apart, and everyone we know, everyone we love, will be caught in the crossfire. That's not her responsibility, Jae-hyun said. It is when she's the only one who can stop it. Her brother's eyes locked onto Lena's again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But this is bigger than us. Bigger than what we want. This is about hundreds of lives. Thousands. And you're the only one who can save them. Lena felt like she was drowning. Felt like every breath was too shallow, every choice impossible. What's your name? She whispered. Her brother blinked, surprised. What? Your name. You keep calling me sister, but I don't even know your name. Something painful crossed his face. Elo Chukwu. But you used to call me Elo. We were inseparable when we were young. Best friends. You cried for weeks when mother took you away. His voice dropped. I never stopped looking for you. Elo Chukwu. The name meant nothing. Stirred no memories. But the pain in his eyes was real. The longing was real. The impossible choice was real. Lena, Jae-hyun said quietly, whatever you decide, I'll support you. But please, don't let them force you into something you'll regret. And if my decision kills innocent people, then we'll find another way to save them, together. There is no other way, Elo Chukwu said. I've looked. Believe me, I've spent years looking. This is the only path that doesn't end in blood. Lena closed her eyes, trying to think through the panic and fear and overwhelming sense of unreality. Somewhere in this mess, there had to be a right answer. A choice that didn't sacrifice everything she'd become for everything she'd been. But when she opened her eyes and looked at the men facing each other across the circle, she knew the truth. There was no right answer. There was only survival. I'll go, she said quietly. Lena. Jae-hyun's protest died when she raised a hand. On one condition, she continued, looking at Elo Chukwu. You stop the countdown. You guarantee the safety of everyone in that restaurant, and you give me 24 hours with Jae-hyun. One day to say goodbye, to prepare, and then I'll come home. Elo Chukwu studied her for a long moment. You'll run. I won't. You have my word. Your word means nothing. We just met. Then it's a chance you'll have to take. Lena's voice hardened. Because if you try to take me now, Jae-hyun will fight. His men will fight. And people will die. Is that what you want? Is that how you want our reunion to begin? The silence stretched. Elo Chukwu glanced at the guardians, at Jae-hyun, at the calculation of violence hanging in the air. Finally, he pulled out a phone and typed something. A moment later, Lena's phone buzzed. She looked down to see a message. Countdown canceled. Restaurant secure. 24 hours, Elo Chukwu said. And then you come home, Lena? No more running. No more hiding. You face what you are and you do your duty. I will. He nodded once sharply. Then, to the guardians, fall back. We're done here. They moved as one, melting into the shadows, disappearing as silently as they'd arrived. Elo Chukwu was the last to leave, his eyes locked on Lena with an intensity that made her chest ache. I missed you, he said quietly. Every day, I missed my sister. Then he turned and walked away, leaving Lena standing in the cold morning light with the weight of an impossible promise on her shoulders. Jae-hyun's hand found hers, squeezing gently. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Lena's voice was hollow. You heard him. It's this or war. There has to be another way. Then we have 24 hours to find it. She looked up at him, and the devastation in his eyes matched what she felt inside. They both knew the truth. 24 hours wasn't enough to change the world, but maybe it was enough to say goodbye. And that's where part 4 ends. The brother she doesn't remember has found her. The family she never knew wants her back. And the man who kidnapped her might be the only one who truly sees her for who she is. 24 hours. One day to find another way. One day to change everything, or one day to say goodbye to the only person who ever made her